She was about to die. But when she opened her eyes in the farmer's bed, everything changed. Mara had always known that life was hard. She lived in a small village where the roads were dusty and the houses were made of wood and clay. The village was surrounded by fields, and the people worked from sunrise to sunset just to make enough food for their families. Mara's family was not rich. They did not have extra money for new clothes or toys, and they often ate simple meals like rice, beans, and a little soup. Still, Mara never complained. She believed that if she worked hard and stayed kind, things would eventually get better. Mara's mother, Lila, was not well. She had been sick for many months, and no one in the village could fully explain why. Sometimes she would be strong and able to cook and clean, but other times she would become weak and tired. Mara did her best to take care of her. She would wake up early in the morning, fetch water from the river, prepare breakfast, and then go to the fields to help other villagers. She also helped her younger brother, Jaden, with his schoolwork. Jaden was a bright boy and loved to learn. He wanted to become a teacher one day. Mara wanted to help him reach that dream. One afternoon, the sky began to change. The bright blue turned into a dark gray, and the wind started to blow harder. People in the village noticed it, and they began to hurry home. Some women gathered their laundry, while others brought their animals into the shelter of the barns. Mara was at home when she heard her mother cough softly. Lila was sitting by the small window, looking outside with a worried expression. "Mara," she said quietly, "I feel worse today." Mara's heart tightened. She stood up quickly and went to her mother's side. "Don't worry, Mama," she said. "I will take care of you." Lila smiled weakly. "You are too kind, but I need you to go to the market and buy the herbs from the healer. The storm is coming, but you must go. I need those herbs." Mara looked at the sky again. The wind was growing stronger, and the first drops of rain began to fall. She knew that going to the market would be dangerous, but she also knew that her mother needed help. She took a deep breath and said, "I will go, I promise." Mara grabbed her small basket and wrapped her shawl tightly around her shoulders. She stepped outside and the rain began to fall harder. The dirt road quickly became muddy, and the wind pushed her hair into her face. She held her shawl close and walked as fast as she could. The market was not far, but the road was rough. Mara passed by the rice fields where the water had already begun to rise. She saw other villagers hurrying with their baskets, and she nodded politely as she passed them. Everyone looked worried. The storm was not a normal one. It felt stronger and colder than usual. When Mara reached the healer's small shop, she found the healer, an old woman named Naya, already packing her supplies. Naya was known for her calm voice and her gentle hands. She had helped many people in the village over the years. Mara explained her mother's condition and asked for the herbs. Naya listened carefully and then handed Mara a small bundle of dried leaves. "These will help her," she said. "But you must hurry back. The storm is getting worse." Mara thanked Naya and turned to leave. The rain was now heavy and the wind was loud. The road back home was even more difficult than before. The dirt had turned into a thick mud that stuck to Mara's shoes. She had to walk carefully to avoid slipping. The river beside the road was rising, and the water looked dark and wild. As Mara walked, she thought about her mother. She thought about how Lila always smiled even when she was tired. She thought about the way her mother would braid Mara's hair when she was a little girl. Mara felt a strong urge to protect her. She wanted to be brave, even when she felt scared inside. The storm grew stronger. The rain hit Mara's face like small stones. She could barely see through the heavy water. The wind pushed her from side to side, and she had to hold on to her shawl tightly. Her shoes were heavy with mud, and her legs were tired. Then suddenly the road became very slippery. Mara stepped on a wet stone, and her foot slipped. She tried to balance, but the mud was too thick. She lost her grip and fell forward. Her basket flew out of her hands, and the herbs scattered across the ground. Mara tried to stand, but her foot slid again. She reached out to grab something, but her hands could not find a strong place to hold. Mara's heart began to race. She felt the cold water of the flood rising around her. She tried to move quickly, but the mud held her. She began to feel tired and weak. Her body was soaked, and the cold rain made her shiver. She knew that if she could not get up soon, she might be trapped. Her mind started to feel heavy. She thought about her mother and her brother, and she felt a wave of fear. She whispered, "Please, someone help me." But the storm was loud and the village was far away. The wind and rain swallowed her voice. No one could hear her. Mara tried again to stand, but her legs slipped. Her vision began to blur. The cold water reached her waist, then her chest. She felt the mud pulling her down. She tried to breathe, but the air felt thin and heavy. She began to panic. Her heart beat faster and faster. She thought of her mother's face. She thought of her brother's dreams. She thought of all the things she had not yet done. She felt a sudden sadness. She did not want to leave her family. She did not want to disappear in the storm. Just as Mara began to lose hope, she felt a hand grab her arm. The touch was strong and steady. Someone pulled her up from the mud. Mara's body shook from cold and fear, but she held on tightly. She tried to open her eyes, but the storm made it difficult. A voice spoke softly in her ear. "Hold on. I have you." Mara could not see clearly, but she felt a warmth that was not from the storm. The hand that held her was steady and sure. Someone was carrying her through the mud and rain, moving carefully but quickly. Mara tried to speak, but her voice came out weak. "Who are you?" she asked. The person did not answer immediately. Instead, he kept moving. Mara could feel his strong arms and the steady rhythm of his steps. He was focused on saving her, not on talking. After a few moments, the storm seemed to grow even louder. Mara closed her eyes and tried to hold on. She felt herself being lifted and carried. Her body was heavy, and her mind was drifting. She felt as if she was falling into a deep sleep. Then, suddenly, the person stopped moving. Mara felt herself being placed down somewhere soft. She opened her eyes slightly and saw a warm light. She was inside a small house, and the fire in the fireplace was glowing. A man stood near her, drying his hands. He was tall and strong. His face looked tired, but his eyes were calm. He wore simple clothes, and his hair was wet from the rain. He looked at Mara with concern. "You're safe now," he said gently. "You can rest." Mara tried to speak, but her mouth was dry. She tried to sit up, but her body felt heavy and weak. She felt the warmth of the room, and for the first time in hours, she felt safe. The man offered her a blanket and helped her lie down. Mara looked at him, still unsure and confused. She wanted to ask his name, but her voice was too weak. The man smiled softly. "My name is Ethan," he said. "You were in danger. I found you near the road and brought you here." Mara's eyes filled with tears. She felt a deep sense of gratitude and relief. She wanted to say thank you, but she could not find the strength. She whispered, "Thank you." Ethan nodded and placed the blanket over her. He looked at her with care, as if she were someone he wanted to protect. Mara closed her eyes again. The storm continued outside, but inside the house, she felt a calm warmth. She felt safe for the first time in a long time. She drifted into sleep, not knowing what would happen next, but knowing that she had been saved by a stranger. And for the first time, Mara felt something she had never felt before: hope. Mara slept for a long time. The storm outside continued to rage, but inside the small house, the fire kept her warm. When she finally opened her eyes, the room was quiet. The rain had slowed and the wind sounded softer. Mara blinked slowly and looked around. The room was simple but clean. There was a small wooden table, a few chairs, and a bed with warm blankets. A window showed the muddy road outside, still wet from the storm. Mara tried to sit up, but her body felt heavy and weak. She looked down and saw that her clothes were dry and clean. She felt a strange comfort. She remembered the moment she fell in the mud and how the cold water had pulled her down. She remembered the fear and the darkness. She remembered the feeling of being carried by a strong hand. She realized she was alive because of this man, Ethan. She turned her head slowly and saw Ethan sitting in a chair near the fire. He was looking at her with a calm expression. He had a cup of tea in his hand, and he looked like he had not slept much. His eyes were kind, but there was a sadness inside them, like he had seen many difficult things in his life. "Mara," he said softly, "you are awake." Mara tried to speak, but her voice was weak. "Where am I?" she asked. "You are at my home," Ethan replied. "You were in danger, and I brought you here." Mara looked at him carefully. She could not understand why a stranger would help her. The villagers had always warned her about the farmer. They said he was strange and quiet, and they avoided him. Some even said he was dangerous, but no one knew the real truth. Mara felt a strange mix of fear and gratitude. "Why did you help me?" she asked. Ethan paused for a moment. He looked down at his hands, then back at Mara. "Because I could not leave you there," he said. "No one should die alone in the storm." Mara felt her eyes fill with tears. She tried to blink them away. "Thank you," she whispered. Ethan nodded. "You should rest," he said. "Your body is weak. You need food and water." Mara nodded slowly. She looked around and saw a small bowl of soup on the table. The smell was warm and comforting. Ethan stood up and gently helped her sit up more. He placed the bowl near her and handed her a spoon. Mara took a small sip. The soup was warm and tasted of herbs. She felt the warmth spread through her body. She ate slowly, feeling the food return her strength. As she ate, she noticed the way Ethan moved around the room. He was careful and quiet, but he seemed confident. He did not act like someone who was scared of people. He acted like someone who had lived alone for a long time. Mara felt curious. She wanted to know more about him, but she also did not want to be rude. After Mara finished eating, Ethan sat back down. "Do you remember what happened?" he asked. Mara closed her eyes and tried to remember. The storm, the mud, the water, the fear, then the darkness. She remembered the hand that grabbed her, but she could not remember the man's face clearly. "I remember falling," she said. "I remember the water. I remember being scared. I remember a hand." Ethan nodded. "You were very close to the river," he said. "The water was rising fast. You could have been trapped." Mara's heart beat faster. She felt a cold shiver run through her body. "I could have died," she said softly. Ethan looked at her with a serious expression. "Yes," he said, "but you didn't." Mara looked down at her hands. She felt guilty for being saved by a stranger. She thought about her family. She wondered how they were feeling right now. She wondered if they were searching for her. "I need to go home," Mara said. "My mother is sick. She needs the herbs." Ethan's expression changed. He looked worried. "You cannot go in this weather," he said. "The storm is still strong. It is not safe." Mara stood up slowly. She felt weak, but she was determined. "I have to go," she said. "My mother needs me." Ethan stood up too. He walked to the window and looked outside. The rain had slowed, but the road was still muddy and dangerous. "If you go now, you may fall again," he said. "You need to rest until the weather improves." Mara looked at him with a stubborn expression. She did not want to stay longer. She felt guilty and uncomfortable. She wanted to leave and take responsibility for her family. Ethan saw her expression and spoke gently. "I understand your feelings," he said, "but your health is more important. Va, you are not strong enough yet. If you go now, you may make things worse." Mara sighed. She knew he was right, but she still felt worried. She sat back down and looked at the floor. "What will my family think?" she asked quietly. Ethan sat beside her. He did not touch her, but he stayed close. "They will be worried," he said, "but they will understand. They will be happy that you are alive." Mara looked at him. She felt a strange comfort in his words. She realized that he was not judging her. He was only trying to protect her. After a few moments, Ethan stood up again. "I will go and check the village," he said. "If your family is looking for you, I will let them know you are safe." Mara's eyes widened. "You will do that?" she asked. Ethan nodded. "Yes," he said. "You deserve help." Mara felt tears again, but this time they were not only from fear, they were from gratitude. She had never experienced such kindness before. She had always believed that people were only kind when they wanted something. But Ethan was different. Ethan left the room and went outside. Mara listened to the sound of his footsteps, then heard the door close softly. She sat in silence, feeling the warmth of the fire. She thought about her mother and brother. She thought about the village and the storm. She felt a deep sense of loneliness, but she also felt something else, hope. After a while, Ethan returned. He looked tired, but he smiled. "Your family is worried," he said. "They are looking for you. They are sending people to search." Mara stood up quickly. "Where are they?" she asked. Ethan pointed toward the road. "They are on their way," he said, "but they will not come through the storm. They will wait until it is safer." Mara nodded. She felt relief. She wanted to be with her family. She wanted to explain what happened. She wanted to apologize for worrying them. Ethan sat back down. "You should rest now," he said. "You will see them soon." Mara looked at him. "Thank you," she said again, "for everything." Ethan nodded. "You don't need to thank me," he said. "I did what any person should do." Mara felt a strange feeling in her heart. She wanted to ask him more questions, but she did not know how to start. She felt shy and unsure. She wondered why he lived alone. She wondered why the villagers avoided him. She wondered what kind of life he had. The hours passed slowly. The storm outside began to calm down. The rain slowed to a light drizzle. The wind became softer. The sun started to appear through the clouds. Mara felt her strength returning. She stood up and walked to the window. She saw the muddy road, the wet fields, and the small village in the distance. She realized that the storm had changed the village. The fields looked tired and flooded. The houses looked darker. The people in the village were still busy cleaning and helping each other. Mara felt a sense of community. She realized that even in difficult times, people cared for one another. Ethan entered the room again with a small basket. "Here," he said, handing her the basket. "These are dry clothes. You can wear them." Mara looked at the clothes. They were simple but clean. She nodded and changed quickly. When she returned, she saw Ethan sitting by the fire, holding a small book. He looked up and smiled. "Do you want to talk?" he asked. Mara hesitated. She did not know what to say. She thought about her family, her mother's illness, and the danger she had faced. She also thought about Ethan's kindness. She felt a mix of emotions. Finally, she spoke. "Why do people in the village avoid you?" she asked. Ethan's smile faded. He looked down at the book in his hands. "People fear what they do not understand," he said. "They hear stories and believe them. They think I am strange because I keep to myself." Mara nodded slowly. "But you are kind," she said. "You saved my life." Ethan looked at her. "I did what I could," he said. "But kindness does not mean I am not lonely." Mara felt a sudden sadness for him. She realized that he had been alone for a long time. She wondered what his life had been like. She wondered if he had ever been happy. She sat beside him, not touching, but close enough to show that she cared. She felt the warmth of the fire and the calm of the room. For the first time, she felt a connection with someone she had never met before. The day continued. Mara and Ethan talked quietly. He told her about his farm, his work, and his simple life. He did not speak much about his past, but Mara could sense that there was a story behind his eyes. She did not push him. She only listened. As evening came, the storm ended completely. The sky turned clear, and the stars appeared. Mara felt calm and safe. She knew that soon she would return to her family. She knew that her life would continue, but something inside her had changed. She had met someone who had shown her kindness without expecting anything in return. She had learned that people could be different from what others said. Mara lay down on the bed again, feeling tired but peaceful. She closed her eyes and thought about the day. She thought about the moment she fell, the fear she felt, and the hand that saved her. She thought about Ethan's quiet voice and his calm eyes. She whispered softly to herself, "I am alive." And for the first time, she believed it with her whole heart. Mara woke up feeling much better. The sun was shining through the small window, and the room was warm. She opened her eyes slowly and looked around. Ethan was not in the room. She wondered where he had gone. The last time she saw him, he was sitting by the fire, reading a small book. She remembered his calm face and kind eyes. Mara sat up and stretched. She felt the strength in her body returning. She looked at the door and walked toward it. The house was quiet. She stepped out into the small hallway and saw that the kitchen was clean. There was a fresh bowl of soup on the table. She realized that Ethan had already prepared breakfast for her. She sat down and ate slowly, enjoying the warm food. The taste was simple but good. It made her feel like a normal person again, not like someone who had almost died. As she ate, she looked out the window and saw the farm outside. There were fields with green plants and a small barn. The land looked calm and peaceful. The storm had passed, and the world felt new. After finishing her meal, Mara stood up and walked outside. The air was fresh. The mud from the storm had dried in some places, but the ground was still soft. She saw Ethan in the distance, working near the barn. He was carrying a bucket of water and pouring it into a trough for the animals. His movements were quiet but strong. He looked like a man who was used to working alone. Mara walked slowly toward him. She did not want to interrupt his work, but she also wanted to thank him again. Ethan noticed her and turned his head. He smiled gently. "Good morning," he said. "Good morning," Mara replied. Ethan set down the bucket and wiped his hands on his pants. "How do you feel?" he asked. Mara thought for a moment. "I feel better," she said. "Thank you again." Ethan nodded. "You should not thank me too much," he said. "It is normal to help someone in need." Mara looked at him.
"It is not normal for everyone," she said softly. "Most people in my village would not help a stranger." Ethan's smile faded a little.
"People are afraid," he said. "They fear what they do not understand." Mara nodded slowly. She understood. She also felt sad. She wondered why people could be so quick to judge someone without knowing them. Ethan walked toward the barn. I need to finish my work," he said. "You can stay here until your family comes." "It is still not safe to travel." Mara nodded. She looked around. The farm felt quiet and peaceful. She noticed how clean everything was. The animals were calm. The plants were well cared for. She could see the effort Ethan put into his land. She felt respect for him. She walked around the farm slowly. She saw chickens in a small coop, a few goats in a fenced area, and a small field of vegetables. The place looked simple but well organized. Mara realized that Ethan was a hard worker. She also realized that he was responsible. He cared for his animals and land even though he lived alone. As she walked, Mara saw a small wooden fence near the edge of the field. It looked old and worn. She walked closer and noticed a small gate. The gate was locked with a simple latch. She wondered what was behind it. She tried to open the gate, but it was stuck. She pushed gently, and the gate opened slowly with a creak. Ethan smiled. "Yes," he said. "It also helps me remember things. I forget easily sometimes." Mara sat down across from him. She looked at his notebook. She noticed that he had neat handwriting. He wrote carefully. Mara felt a sense of respect for him. She realized that he was not only strong, but also thoughtful. They talked quietly for a while. Ethan asked her about her life in the village, her family, and her dreams. Mara told him about her brother, Jaden, and his desire to become a teacher. She told him about her mother's illness and the struggle her family faced. Ethan listened carefully. He did not interrupt. He did not judge. He only listened. After some time, Mara felt comfortable enough to ask him a question. "Why do you live alone?" she asked. Ethan looked down at his hands. He did not answer immediately. Mara waited. She could feel that the question was difficult for him. Finally, he spoke. "I lost my family a long time ago," he said softly. "I do not like to talk about it." Mara felt a sudden sadness. She did not want to cause him pain. She felt sorry for him. She realized that the villagers had judged him without knowing his story. She felt guilty for believing the rumors. "I am sorry," Mara said quietly. Ethan shook his head. "Do not be sorry," he said. "It is not your fault. People have their own lives. They do not always know what others are feeling." Mara nodded. She understood. She felt a deeper connection to him now. She felt that he was not only a kind man, but also someone who had suffered. She felt respect for him. The afternoon passed. The sun was high in the sky and the air was warm. Mara felt a new sense of calm. She realized that she had been holding fear inside her for a long time. She had been afraid of losing her mother, afraid of being poor, and afraid of the storm. Now she felt a small spark of hope. Ethan stood up and walked toward the door. "I need to go to the village," he said. "I will bring your family here once it is safe." Mara looked at him. "Why are you doing this?" she asked. "You do not even know me." Ethan smiled gently. "I know you are a human being," he said. "That is enough." Mara felt her eyes fill with tears again. She felt a warmth in her chest. She realized that kindness did not always come from people who expected something in return. Sometimes it came from those who simply wanted to do what was right. Ethan left the house and walked toward the road. Mara watched him go. She felt a strange sense of peace. She realized that her life had changed. She had met someone who had shown her a new way of seeing the world. Later, Mara heard the sound of footsteps outside. She looked out the window and saw her brother Jaden running toward the house. He was wet from the rain, but his face was filled with relief. "Mara!" he shouted. "Mara, are you okay?" Mara rushed outside. She hugged her brother tightly. She felt a strong sense of love. She had missed him. She had missed her family. Jaden looked at her with tears in his eyes. "I was so scared," he said. "Mama was crying. We thought you were gone." Mara held his hand. "I'm here," she said softly. "I'm safe." Jaden looked around and saw the house. He looked surprised. "Where are we?" he asked. Mara smiled. "We are at Ethan's house," she said. "He saved me." Jaden looked at the house and then at the fields. He felt a mix of emotions. He was grateful, but he also felt shy. He had heard the rumors too. Mara turned to the door and saw Ethan standing there. He looked calm, but his eyes showed a gentle warmth. Mara walked toward him. "Thank you," she said again, but this time she spoke clearly and with confidence. "You saved my life." Ethan nodded. "You are welcome," he said. Jaden looked at Ethan. "Thank you," he said softly. Ethan smiled. "You are welcome," he replied. Mara felt a strong sense of gratitude. She realized that everything was changing. The storm had brought fear and danger, but it had also brought a new connection. Mara felt that her life would never be the same again. She looked at Ethan and felt a quiet hope. She wondered what the future would bring. She did not know the answer, but she felt ready to face it. And for the first time in a long time, she felt that she was not alone. After the storm passed, the village slowly returned to its normal rhythm. People cleaned their homes, repaired roofs, and helped each other with the flooded fields. The rain had left a soft smell in the air, and the sunlight made everything look fresh and new. The village felt calm again, but the memory of the storm still stayed in everyone's minds. Mara and her brother Jaden returned to their small home with the herbs Ethan had given them. Their mother, Leela, was lying on the bed, looking tired but hopeful. When Mara walked into the room, Lila's eyes filled with tears. She sat up slowly and reached out for her daughter. "Mara," she whispered, "you are alive." Mara hugged her mother tightly. She felt the warmth of her mother's body and the softness of her hands. "I'm here, Mama," she said. "I'm safe." Lila looked at Mara with a mixture of sadness and relief. "Where were you?" she asked. "We were so worried." Mara took a deep breath. She knew she needed to tell her mother the truth. She knew that if she lied, the fear would stay in her mother's heart. She looked at her mother and said, "I was in the storm. I fell in the mud. I almost died. But someone saved me." Lila's eyes widened. "Who saved you?" she asked. Mara looked down and said, "A farmer named Ethan." Lila's face changed. She looked surprised and then thoughtful. She had heard the rumors about Ethan, just like everyone else, but she also knew that people could be wrong. She looked at her daughter and said, "You are sure?" Mara nodded. "Yes," she said. "He saved me. He gave me food, shelter, and helped me recover. He even brought us the herbs." Lila's eyes softened. She looked at her daughter and then at her son. "We must thank him," she said. "We must go to his house." Jaden looked nervous. "Mama, people say he is strange," he said. "They say he is dangerous." Lila shook her head. "Those are just stories," she said. "We cannot judge someone without knowing them." Mara felt a sense of pride in her mother. She felt grateful that her mother was open-minded and strong. She realized that her family was different from many others. They did not follow rumors. They followed truth. That afternoon, Mara, Jaden, and Lila walked together to Ethan's house. The path was still muddy, but the weather was clear. The sun warmed their faces, and the air felt fresh. They walked slowly, holding each other's hands. Mara felt nervous. She did not know how Ethan would react. She wondered if he would be angry for being judged by the village. When they reached Ethan's house, they saw him working in the garden. He was watering the plants carefully. His face looked calm and focused. When he saw them, he stopped and walked toward them. "Mara," he said softly, "you are here." Mara stepped forward. "Yes," she said. "We came to thank you." Ethan looked at Lila and Jaden. He smiled gently. "You are welcome," he said. "Please come inside." Lila stepped inside first, holding Mara's hand. Jaden followed quietly. The house looked warm and clean. The smell of herbs was in the air. Ethan offered them seats near the fire. Lila looked around and felt a strange calm. She noticed the small garden outside and the care Ethan had for his plants. She realized that he was not a dangerous man. He was simply someone who lived alone and cared for his farm. Lila looked at Ethan and said, "Thank you for saving my daughter." Ethan nodded. "She was in danger," he said. "I could not leave her there." Lila's eyes softened. "You are a kind man," she said. "The village has said many things about you, but I see now that they were wrong." Ethan looked down and said quietly, "People fear what they do not understand. They think I am strange because I keep to myself." Mara nodded. "We were wrong too," she said. "We believed the stories. But now we know the truth." Jaden spoke quietly. "I am sorry," he said. "I believed the rumors. I did not know." Ethan looked at Jaden. He smiled gently. "You do not need to apologize," he said. "You are learning. People make mistakes." Mara felt a deep sense of relief. She felt that a weight had been lifted from her heart. She realized that Ethan was not only kind, but also forgiving. He did not hold anger in his heart. He only wanted peace. Lila looked at Ethan and asked, "Why do you live alone? Do you have family?" Ethan's face changed. He looked away for a moment. Mara could see a small sadness in his eyes. She felt a strong desire to comfort him, but she did not know how. Ethan spoke softly. "I lost my family a long time ago," he said. "I do not like to talk about it." Lila nodded. She understood. She knew that everyone had their own pain. She looked at Mara and Jaden and said, "We will not ask more. We will respect your privacy." Ethan nodded. "Thank you," he said. They sat together for a while. They talked about simple things, the weather, the farm, the village. Ethan told them about his work, and Lila told him about herbs and her life. The conversation was calm and gentle. Mara noticed something else. She noticed that Ethan did not seem lonely anymore. He smiled more. He looked more relaxed. Mara realized that the presence of her family made him feel less alone. She felt happy to see him like that. As the sun began to set, Lila stood up. "We should go home," she said. "Thank you again for everything." Ethan walked them to the door. He looked at Mara and said, "If you ever need help, you can come here." Mara nodded. "Thank you," she said. Jaden looked at Ethan and said, "We will tell the village the truth." Ethan looked surprised. "You will?" he asked. Jaden nodded. "Yes," he said. "We will tell them that you are kind." Ethan smiled. "That means a lot," he said softly. "Thank you." They walked home together. Mara felt a new feeling inside her heart. She felt proud of her family. She felt proud of herself. She realized that she had learned an important lesson. People should not be judged by rumors. People should be judged by their actions. The next day, Mara went to the village to visit her friends. She saw the same people she had always seen. They were busy cleaning their homes and helping each other. Mara felt nervous. She wondered if they would ask her about the storm. She wondered if they would ask where she had been. When she saw her friend, Lena, she walked toward her. Lena looked at Mara with surprise. "Mara," she said, "we were so worried." "Where were you?" Mara smiled. "I was in the storm," she said. "I fell in the mud. I almost died." Lena's eyes widened.
"Oh my goodness," she said. "Are you okay now?" Mara nodded.
"Yes," she said. "I am okay now." Lena looked at her carefully. "Where did you stay?" she asked. Mara took a deep breath. She knew this moment was important. She could choose to keep the secret or tell the truth. She chose to be honest. "I stayed at Ethan's house," she said. Lena's face changed. She looked surprised and then worried. "Ethan?" she said. "But the village says he is dangerous." Mara shook her head. "No," she said. "He is not dangerous. He saved my life. He is kind." Lena looked confused. "Are you sure?" she asked. Mara nodded. "Yes," she said. Mara continued to help her mother with her illness. She made the herbal tea every morning and prepared the meals. She watched her mother's condition closely and tried to be patient. She also helped Jaden with his schoolwork. Jaden was happy to be back at school, and he was eager to learn. He often talked about becoming a teacher, and Mara always listened with pride. She felt that her family was slowly becoming stronger again. One morning, Mara woke up early. The sun was rising and the sky was clear. She looked outside and saw Ethan working in his garden. He was moving carefully, checking the plants and watering them. Mara felt a small smile appear on her face. She had been thinking about him often. She felt grateful for his kindness, and she wanted to repay him in some way. She wondered how she could show her thanks without making things uncomfortable. Mara decided to visit him. She prepared a small basket of fresh vegetables from her garden and walked toward Ethan's house. The path was clean and the air was fresh. She felt calm and confident. When she reached the farm, she saw Ethan near the garden. He looked up and smiled when he saw her. "Mara," he said. "Good morning." "Good morning," she replied. "I brought you some vegetables." Ethan looked at the basket and smiled. "Thank you," he said. "That is very kind of you." Mara felt a warm feeling inside her. She realized that small acts of kindness could build a strong connection. She wanted to help him the way he had helped her. They talked for a while. Ethan asked her about her mother, and Mara told him that her mother was feeling a little better. Ethan listened carefully. He did not interrupt. He simply listened, and that made Mara feel understood. After a while, Ethan looked at her and said, "Mara, I want to ask you something." Mara felt curious. "What is it?" she asked. Ethan looked at her with a serious expression. "Do you want to help me on the farm sometimes?" he asked. "Not because I need help, but because I want your company." Mara felt surprised. She did not expect him to ask her that. She felt a mix of emotions. She felt happy, but she also felt nervous. She thought about her family, her responsibilities, and the village. I would like that," she said slowly. "But I need to ask my family first." Ethan nodded. "Of course," he said. "I understand." Mara returned home and spoke to her mother and brother. She explained what Ethan had asked. Lila listened carefully and then smiled. "You should go," she said. "You deserve to have a friend. And Ethan deserves kindness."
Jaden nodded. "Yes," he said.
"You should go. He is a good man." Mara felt a deep sense of relief. She felt that her family supported her. She felt that her life was changing in a positive way. She realized that she was not alone anymore. The next day, Mara started helping Ethan on the farm. She learned how to plant seeds, water the plants, and care for the animals. Ethan showed her how to work efficiently and with care. He was patient and kind. He did not rush her. He explained everything clearly. Mara enjoyed the work. She felt a sense of purpose. She felt that she was doing something meaningful. She also enjoyed being around Ethan. She liked the calmness in his voice. She liked the way he focused on his work. She felt that he was a strong person, but also gentle. As the days passed, Mara and Ethan spent more time together. They talked about simple things, like the weather, the plants, and the village. They also talked about their dreams. Mara told Ethan about Jaden's dream of becoming a teacher. Ethan listened carefully and smiled. He said, "Your brother has a good heart. He will make a good teacher." Mara felt happy. She realized that Ethan cared about her family. She felt grateful. One evening, Mara and Ethan were sitting by the fire. The air was cool and the stars were bright. Mara looked at Ethan and felt a strong feeling in her heart. She realized that she trusted him. She realized that he had become an important person in her life. Ethan spoke softly. "Mara," he said, "I want to say something." Mara looked at him. "What is it?" she asked. Ethan paused for a moment. He looked down, then back at her. "Thank you for believing in me," he said. "You did not judge me. You did not listen to the rumors. You saw me as I am." Mara felt her heart warm. She smiled. "I did not have to judge you," she said. "You showed me who you are." Ethan nodded. "I hope the village will change," he said. "I hope they will see that kindness is stronger than fear." Mara looked at him and nodded. "I think they already are changing," she said. "It will take time, but it is happening." The next week, Mara decided to visit the village again. She wanted to see if the people had changed. She walked through the streets and saw people working together. She saw some villagers talking to Ethan. They looked nervous, but they were also curious. Mara felt proud. She realized that her words had made a small difference. She saw Lena again, and Lena smiled. "Mara," Lena said. I want to say thank you. Mara looked at her. For what? She asked. Lena looked down and then back at Mara. For telling the truth, she said. I was wrong about Ethan. I believed the rumors. I am sorry. Mara smiled. It's okay, she said. We all make mistakes. Lena nodded. I want to help too, she said. Maybe we can work together with Ethan and make the village stronger. Mara felt a deep sense of joy. She realized that the village was changing. People were learning to see the truth and to be kind. As the months passed, Ethan became a part of the village again. People began to respect him. They saw how hard he worked and how kind he was. Some villagers even helped him with his farm. The fear that had once surrounded him began to disappear. Mara's mother's health continued to improve. The herbs helped, and Mara's care made a big difference. Lila was able to stand up and cook again. She even smiled more. The family felt stronger than before. Jaden continued to study. He worked hard and dreamed of becoming a teacher. Mara supported him every day. She felt proud of him. One day, the village held a small celebration. It was a simple event, but it was full of joy. People shared food, laughed, and talked. Mara and her family attended. Ethan was also there. He stood near the edge, watching the people with a calm expression. He looked nervous, but he also looked happy. Mara walked to him and smiled. You see, she said softly, they are not afraid anymore. Ethan looked at the people and nodded.
Yes, he said. They are learning. Mara looked at him and felt a warm feeling in her heart.
She realized that the storm had brought something unexpected. It had brought a new beginning. The village was no longer the same. It had grown stronger, kinder, and more connected. Mara had survived the storm, and her life had changed forever. She had learned that kindness could change the world. She had learned that people could be different from the stories told about them. As the sun set, Mara stood beside Ethan. They watched the sky turn orange and red. The air was calm, and the world felt peaceful. Mara felt a deep sense of gratitude. She looked at Ethan and said softly, "Thank you for saving me." Ethan smiled. "You are welcome," he said. "And thank you for giving me a chance." Mara nodded. She felt a strong connection to him, a connection built on trust and kindness. She knew that her life had changed, and she was ready for whatever came next. And in that moment, she understood something important. Sometimes, a single act of kindness can change many lives.